In 1995, Milan Gvero was the Assistant Commander for Moral, Legal and Religious Affairs of the VRS Main Staff and directly subordinated to Mladić. In this position, and as one of the most senior officers in the VRS Main Staff, Gvero played an important role in VRS operations, and this was no different for the operations in Srebrenica and Žepa. Through his knowledge of key documents from 1992 and his involvement in the drafting of Directive 7, Gvero knew of the plan to forcibly remove the populations from Srebrenica and Žepa enclaves from its very inception, and of the VRS's role in this plan. Gvero had to be informed of major developments in the operations so that he would be in a position to act if issues of morale arose or dissemination of information was necessary. Accordingly, key documents were specifically addressed to him, such as Tolomir's telegram forwarding Karadzić's order to capture Srebrenica, Tolomir and the Mladić's instructions concerning prisoners of war, and documents concerning the negotiations in Žepa. The need for Gvero to be fully attuned was enhanced the need for Gvero to be fully attuned was enhanced by the fact that on occasion he was the most senior officer present at the main staff, in which case other assistant commanders reported to him and he could be called upon to intervene directly in ongoing military action. During the Srebrenica and Žepa operations, Gvero carried out key functions relating to external propaganda and interaction with international organizations, with the aim to support the plan to forcibly transfer the populations from the enclaves. On 10th July 1995, after the VRS had launched its military assault on the enclave, taken over United Nations observation points, and moved to capture Srebrenica town, Gvero issued a statement to the media concerning the attack on Srebrenica enclave, stating that the VRS activities were directed at neutralizing Muslim terrorists and not against any civilians or UNPROFOR. Though not criminal as such, the purpose of this blatantly false statement was less innocent. Gvero made this statement with the intention to mislead the international authorities concerned with protecting the enclave, with a view to delaying any action that could frustrate the VRS plans. On 11th July, as part of the combined VRS efforts to stop the NATO bombing on the VRS forces approaching Srebrenica town, Gvero adopted the same approach as the day before. He falsely asserted to UNPROFOR's Chief of Staff General Nikolić that the VRS was merely responding to attacks, while knowing that the VRS had taken the town and that Bosnian Muslim men had fled to Potocari. Gvero further threatened Nikolić by stating, in essence, that failure to stop the NATO bombing could result in serious consequences for UNPROFOR and the civilians in Potocari. The trial chamber is satisfied that Gvero issued this threat with the aim to halt NATO bombings so that the VRS could complete its plan to take over the Srebrenica enclave and forcibly remove its Bosnian Muslim inhabitants. Soon thereafter, Gvero warned the VRS personnel on the treatment of UNPROFOR forces to avoid any action that could provoke a response and interfere with the efforts to end the NATO bombing. With regard to the Žepa operation, though Gvero was clearly knowledgeable as to the illegal purpose of and developments in the Žepa campaign, the trial chamber has no evidence to find that Gvero contributed to it. Based on these factors combined, and for the reasons detailed in the judgment, the trial chamber has found that Gvero made a significant contribution to the JCE to forcibly remove and shared the common intent. Furthermore, Gvero acted with the specific intent to discriminate on political, racial, or religious grounds. However, considering the nature of Gvero's acts and his level of involvement in the operation to forcibly remove, the trial chamber is not satisfied that it was foreseeable to him that murder would be committed in Potocari. I now turn to the last of the accused, Vinko Pandurević, who was commander of the Zvornik Brigade and held the rank of lieutenant colonel in 1995. As commander of Tactical Group 1, Pandurević was aware of the criminal objective described in Directive 7 and of the plan to forcibly remove the Bosnian Muslim populations from Srebrenica and Žepa enclaves. Pandurević and Tactical Group 1 participated in the attack on Srebrenica on 6th July and entered Srebrenica town on 11th July. While the evidence is insufficient to conclude that Pandurević intended to carry out the common purpose of the JCE to forcibly remove, the trial chamber has found that Pandurević's participation in the military attack and takeover of Srebrenica enclave substantially contributed to the forcible transfer of the civilian population from Srebrenica. The trial chamber is also satisfied that by participating in the attack on Srebrenica enclave, Pandurević knew that he was assisting in the commission of persecution. With respect to Žepa, the trial chamber has found that Pandurević did not make a contribution, significant or substantial, to that forcible transfer, nor did he share the intent to forcibly remove. On 15th July, Pandurević was ordered to return to the Zvornik area of responsibility to block or crush the column and prevent the column from joining up with the forces of the ABIH 2nd Corps. Upon his arrival to the standard barracks on 15 July, the trial chamber is satisfied that Pandurević was told by his chief of staff that pursuant to Mladic's order, Beara and Popović had brought a large number of prisoners from Bratunac to Zvornik, where they were executing them, and that there were enormous problems with the guarding, execution, and burial of prisoners. In the following days, Pandurević received additional information, including about the detentions and executions and burials in Pilica, Petkovci, Ročević, Orahovac, and Branivo military farm. By 18th July, Pandurević had information as to the overall scale of the murder operation. However, there is no evidence to establish that Pandurević shared the intent to commit the crimes that formed part of the JCE to murder. There is also no evidence that Pandurević himself participated or that he ordered, authorized, or otherwise approved the participation of his subordinates in the murder operation. In the period between 13th and 16th July, members of the Zvornik Brigade participated in guarding the detained Bosnian Muslim prisoners and in transporting the prisoners to execution sites in the area of Zvornik. The trial chamber is satisfied that members of the Zvornik Brigade provided practical assistance that had a substantial effect on the commission of the executions of the prisoners.